I'm doing this story for work about people who have left MAGA and like what got them to leave. And there's this one girl story, Courtney Ray. If you see this video, I want to be your friend because you sound cool as fuck. And I know, former MAGA and me, right? Crazy. Her story's awesome. You can go to leavingmaga.org to like read it. It's really, really, really good. Long story short, and I hope this is okay to say, Courtney, but like she was a pick-me girl who like then realized like feminism. So I just want to read like this part of her story because it's so good. In mid-2021, I resumed a project I had begun during COVID, a fantasy novel about a witch in a past life. I did a lot of research and I learned about the Salem witch trials, about religion, about patriarchy. I read about Constantine and the Council of Nicaea, a 4th century assembly that decided Jesus was divine, not human. I did a lot of research. I watched every documentary and listened to every podcast I could about religious cults, witchcraft, patriarchal societies. I learned that so many of the women who were prosecuted for being witches were widows of wealthy men, the type of men she was dating. The local government was accusing them of being witches so they could take their property. That really pissed me off. I read Malleus Maleficarum, Hammer of Witches, a 15th century treatise, god damn, Courtney, you're smart, on how to prosecute witches, written by a man who hated women. It made me realize how powerful men have always been and how scared they are of women. I learned there used to be matriarchal societies in the world. I watched the documentary Bad Faith about Christian nationalism. My research opened my eyes to what I had been. I realized, wow, I've been brainwashed. I've been a misogynist against myself. I realized I had voted for and been an active part of contributing to misogyny. I was the person who would make fun of feminists. I used to think, of course women aren't equal to men. Now I look at us as the freaking creators of life. This had totally switched things up for me. My intellectual discoveries led to a big shift in how I perceived myself and my own self-worth. I had always dated wealthy men with big houses, cleaned and cooked for them. That was my value. Then I had another realization. Why do I have to wait to meet a man who has a big house? Why can't I build my dream house? Why can't I provide this life for myself? That had never occurred to me while I was MAGA. Girl, you just love to see it. You love to see it. Sorry, someone has joined us. This part really, ooh. A lot of women in MAGA believe their value comes from being chosen and getting approval from the men in their life, and they don't feel empowered to give themselves what they want out of life. I think the majority convince themselves that's what they want, and that keeps them very submissive. MAGA today emboldens them to embrace that even more so.
Some people wake up and come to realize they've been supporting ideas that don't actually serve them. But is it a good or bad thing, especially after the damage has already been done?
It finally happened, and it's happening fast. I'm getting a lot of messages from people who say, I'm a Republican, I'm a Trump supporter, but I want labor rights. And they're asking me for help with the problem they're having now that Trump is really attacking the federal workforce, and they're scared. The hypocrisy. How dare you come to me for help when you have spent the past 12 years of Trump's career violently and viciously attacking anyone who doesn't look like you, violently and viciously attacking labor rights when every expert in the world warned you. And you mocked us. You still mock us when we tell you that what's happening is dangerous. But now that it's finally affected you, as we warned you it would, now you think you deserve special treatment? It's kind of like that guy who posted about not paying taxes and how proud he was not to pay taxes. And then the fires happened, and he was desperately calling for private firefighters to save his house, but no one else's. I'm angry at you. I'll probably still help you because I believe in this, but I'm angry at you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you today about how I used to be a MAGA Republican and now I've turned blue. So let's go back to the beginning. So in 2008, I voted for Barack Obama. I was considered a Democrat. I was a registered Democrat. In 2012, I didn't vote. After Obama's presidency, I was just kind of like, I don't really, I was still kind of younger. I didn't really know what I wanted. I wasn't really paying attention to politics. I was kind of being naive. So I didn't even vote at all in 2012. And then 2016 rolled around and Trump came around, and let's just say I got lost in the sauce. I got lost in the whirlwind that is MAGA that began in 2016. And I kind of just, fell on that aspect because honestly, if I'm being fair, I'm not a huge Hillary Clinton fan. And some of the stuff that she did, I found absolutely kind of shady. And I mean, I'm not saying I hate her by any means, you know what I mean? But like, I was like, okay, Donald Trump could bring something to the table. Mind you, I was still being naive. I was only getting my information from the MAGA circle, and I wasn't doing any other information at all. I wasn't doing any other research. I liked my little bubble. I was happy in my little bubble. It made sense to me. Everything lined up with everything else that I would say. Now, let me preface by saying I've always been pro women's rights, and I've always been pro LGBTQ community. Period. End of story. That has never been an issue for me whatsoever, even when I was MAGA. And I felt like I had to keep that stuff quiet, though, which was wild to me because, like, I believe in gay marriage. I believe in the trans community. I believe, obviously, women's right to choose. But, like, I kept my mouth shut with MAGA because I was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. There's other things that I fall in line with when it comes to his policies. Really, fast forward, he has no fucking policies, but I didn't know that. So then 2020 rolled around and I was still in my naive bubble, even with my husband as well. And 2020 rolled around and I voted for him again. And then January 6th happened. And when January 6th happened, I was done. I was done. I was like, I cannot stand by a man who tried to overthrow our Constitution, leading us to a brink of a civil war. I cannot blindly follow a man who made a fake elector's plot to try to get himself elected and literally tried to overthrow our Constitution. I couldn't stand by it and do it. And then Roe versus Wade happened and even more shit coming out. And I was like, fuck this guy. He's an absolute piece of shit. He doesn't give a fuck about women. He doesn't give a fuck about children. He doesn't give a fuck about the LGBTQ community. He doesn't give a fuck about, people in general, his country or anybody coming into it, anybody who's already here. He just doesn't give a fuck. And I was like, I'm done. I'm absolutely fucking done. And now I will say with full transparency, I changed my voter registration. I am now back to being a Democrat. I do not see myself ever going back to Republican because my views simply just don't align with them at all. I'm not religious. I don't believe in God. And I am not buying this whole fucking border issue. I understand immigration control, but I'm exactly where it should be, a bipartisan bill that Biden and Harris created. I am for a democracy. I am for women having the right to choose. I am for middle-class families. I come from a middle-class family. I'm for healthcare. I am for women's rights, LGBTQ. I have a child with special needs. My son is autistic. Like everything that I believe in into my core does not align with the Republican Party. And it makes me emotional to know that I ever stood by idly and blind and let that shit happen, because it makes me sick to know that I voted for that rapist criminal for 2 terms. It made me sick. And I never got on the I hate Joe Biden train. I never really got behind it. And I just did my fucking research. After January 6th, the conspiracy started more. I started realizing what he was. And then Roe v. versus Wade happened, overturned. And I was like, I'm fucking done. And then just knowing that he didn't do anything that he said he was going to do, how he's fucking disparaged our veterans, shit all over them, doesn't how he's treated women, abusing women, being liable for raping a woman and multiple others. I can't get behind somebody like that. I am a woman. I am a mother. I am voting for my future, for my children's future. I'm done with this whole bullshit of, everybody's coming across the borders. Things are more expensive. I'm done with tampons in the bathroom. I'm done with that shit. So fuck you, but I won't even argue with you people anymore, because that's what you are, is just a bunch of belligerent idiots. MAGA idiots. Period. End of story. Right now, we need to focus on our democracy, women getting their rights back. We need to focus on the LGBTQ community being able to have equal rights. We need to take care of the people that are in this country, and asylum seekers that are coming from other countries, we need to take care of as well. Period. End of story. I'm not going to change my viewpoint on that ever. We need to keep church and state separate, and we need to have gun control, because guess what? I have 2 children. Like I said, one of them special needs. I'm scared to send them to school every day. So while y'all are bitching about tampons in the bathroom, I'm worried that I'm not going to see my kid again. So that's why I'm voting blue. I will never go back to being a Republican again. And the true Republicans that aren't behind MAGA, no disrespect to you at all, because your party has totally been hijacked by that belligerent So for true Republicans, I stand by you. I respect your beliefs. I personally am just not one of them anymore. So that's my story.
So there's currently a trend going on TikTok right now with the hashtag leaving MAGA. And I originally went through this hashtag, saved a few videos of the people that are making content saying why they're leaving MAGA. And I was going to show it in this video. I have decided against that now, and I'm going to tell you why. Because all of them, every single one, their reason for leaving MAGA was because of something he's doing, Trump is doing, that is personally affecting them. For example, one of the women that made a video that she's leaving MAGA, her video has a caption that says, "The moment I regretted my vote for Trump." And it showed behind her a green screen of Trump signing the executive order that requires all federal employees to return back to the office. So like she's upset because she's been working from home since COVID and now she has to get up and actually go to work. Another one was an employee that works in a warehouse, and the warehouse was apparently primarily staffed by undocumented immigrants and they're nowhere to be seen. And so this guy is like by himself. He's like, there's not a soul in here. It's just me. Like, I can't do this alone. Like, why would Trump do this? Why would, like, these are the people that keep our country moving. You know, but it's a common theme. You see, it's a common theme why they're leaving. They're not leaving MAGA because Trump is an authoritarian wannabe dictator that is literally destroying our country in the first 3 weeks of his presidency. They are leaving MAGA because it's personally hurting them. You don't get to light your neighbor's house on fire, call the fire department, they put the fire out, and then look at your neighbor and be like, look, I did a good thing. No, you caused this. You voted for this. For what? For the economy, for the deportations, for the mean tweets, for the cheap gas. Like, you voted for it. Whatever reason you had, you voted for it. And there is nothing that you could say that could make up for the fact that what's happening right now is solely the fault of your own. We tried to tell all of you. We tried to tell you. I mean, half of the things that he's doing are promises he made during the campaign trail. And we were like, this isn't good. And you're like, yeah, but eggs, they're going to be cheaper. Well, now there's no eggs because of the bird flu. So yeah, I guess eggs are cheaper. You can't even buy them. Yeah, you're saving some money. Good job. We're in a trade war with 3 different countries right now. And he's threatening Panama and Greenland. And literally anybody that doesn't agree with him, he's firing them. That's not how a president operates. That's how a dictator operates. I'm going to say this one last thing. I vote blue. I vote for Democrats because I care what happens to other people. You vote Republican because you care what happens to you. You see the difference?
How it started.
Oh my God, I done found my tribe. I have been exiled by the Black community. A lot of us have been exiled by the Black community. But when I say the MAGA family, the AFF family, my snow bunnies, my Hispanic bunnies, oh my God, when I say the support has been mad real, I've been totally annihilated by our own. But we have been embraced by you guys. I have found my tribe. I am currently dealing with my son facing 21 years that this particular judge has sentenced him to. It is racial injustice. I am fighting to free my son and also free the masses and stop this judge from excessively sentencing our people. Black, brown, Latino, Afro-Latino. I just need you guys to support in helping to free my son. My son is 23 years old, and he is currently facing 21 years of incarceration due to racial injustice. My son was defending himself, and unfortunately, most Black and brown people, individuals, whether you are a man or a woman, here in Colorado, do not have the right to use self-defense.
Did anybody else notice the wardrobe change? So this lady, the 7%, found her tribe. She found her tribe in MAGA. MAGA was welcoming. She had been exiled by the Black community. Couldn't imagine why. Where are they now? You did a plea for your son in a MAGA hat, and it barely got any engagement. So you changed it to blue there at the end. And it's almost as if you know the demographic of people who would understand your predicament. In those videos, you're not talking to your MAGA friends. You weren't even talking to your MAGA friends when you had the MAGA hat on. You weren't talking to them because you know they don't care about you. They never did. You know that MAGA don't care about you. That particular judge, you said that they were blue? Sure, they might be. But you know who would have fought against that blue judge on your behalf? Us. Progressives. People who want and who have been fighting for change in our legal system because of the things that your son is going through right now. I'm sorry that your son is going through that. And that's real. I am. I have a son myself. I would never want him to go through what your son is going through. But that is why I vote on the right side of history. I vote for people who won't give cops immunity for unaliving my son. That's why I won't vote for people who put money into private prisons so that they can have slave labor and mass incarceration of our people. I vote to save my son. You vote for people who would see him rot in that prison cell. It would be nice if we could normalize not othering Black and brown people. But that is what you voted for. You voted for the candidate that othered Black and brown people. Your MAGA tribe, they didn't care about you then and they don't care about you now. They needed your vote, so they accepted you in for that reason. Those same people support othering Black and brown people. Whenever they think of Black people, they think hood and ghetto. They think walk on the other side of the street because we are dangerous. That is the lie that they have perpetuated about us to get your son to be in the situation that he is in right now. Your son is not viewed as human, is not viewed as someone who deserves the right to defend himself. They want us incarcerated. You spoke in one of your videos about equality. Ma'am, they brought back segregation. Do you think they give a crap about your son? Your tribe would be okay with your son not going to their schools, not swimming in their swimming pools, not drinking out of their water fountains. That's your tribe. So I say again, you changed your wardrobe at the end there to a stark blue. Why? Because you know that MAGA, they are not your tribe. Where are they now? They don't care about your son, and they never will. To them, to your tribe, your son would be better off spending 21 years in prison.
If you used to be MAGA or a Trump supporter and now you're not, what was your turning point? What was the moment that made you begin to question maybe everything that you believed? I've shared on here multiple times that I voted for Trump in 2016. Coming out of that world was one of the hardest things that I've ever done. Our brains are hardwired to not want to receive new information that may go against what it believes it already knows. And that is just a survival mechanism that our brains are designed to do. It's designed to keep us safe. It's designed to keep us comfortable. It's designed to keep us in homeostasis. Now, what's also interesting is the same part of our brain that regulates things like our personality also regulates our political belief, which is why when somebody has an opposing belief, it can oftentimes feel like a personal attack. And it feels like a personal attack because you feel that your well-being, your homeostasis is being threatened. So when Trump was first elected and people would say, you need to do your own research, I would listen to people that generally agreed with my belief systems, like Ben Shapiro or other Republican commentators. And I would say, I am doing my own research. And I genuinely believed that that's what I was doing. However, I wasn't researching anything. I was just following somebody else's belief system. So it was actually really hard for me to go outside of that circle and that echo chamber and start researching nonpartisan news sources, which can be hard to find. It's very hard to find information or news sources that come from people or groups that are non-biased. People often assume that I just went to the other side and think that all I do is listen to CNN. I don't think I've ever listened or watched CNN. So I'm curious, what was the moment for you and what did you do to get yourself out of that echo chamber?
Hey everybody, Rich coming to you here at leavingmaga.org. I want to make a particular appeal today to MAGA Americans. I really don't believe that what is happening in our country now is something that you want. But I understand that it's not a natural act for us to admit that we believed lies and that we acted upon them and that we allowed those lies to shape our being and our personhood and our identity. And Leaving MAGA does not judge you. We do not ostracize those who have doubts. You are welcome with us at our community. And for friends and family who are out there who have friends and family in MAGA, we are here for you as well for support. Empathy is much more preferable than scorn.
Yesterday, when I was waiting in line to check out, there were these women standing in front of me, and clearly they were not from this area, but they were talking about how all of these people were going to protests and that they were all going to the Capitol, and I think that's where they were actually headed while they were here in Arizona. But anyway, they were talking about it, and then they were talking about how hashtag Leave MAGA or Leaving MAGA, whatever it was trending. And I thought that was so funny, and because they were just sitting there in line talking about this. So then one of the women goes, well, unfortunately, if I was to hashtag Leave MAGA, I would have to hashtag Leave my husband. And I couldn't help myself. I very loudly went, and? She turns around and she looks at me and she takes a second and she's like, good point.
Y'all see that lady crashing out on CNN? Talking about it means something to be an American? Do you see now why I say that this idea of leaving MAGA, I don't think that really exists? Because these people absolutely believe in what he stands for. And what he stands for is the reclaiming of power, the reclaiming of supremacy by white America. That's what the emotion is all about. That's why she feels so strongly about saying what she's saying. The conversation that they're having is about whether or not a judge who was appointed by Trump is allowed to deem him using the Alien and Enemies Act a wartime power in non-wartime, deem it lawful. The conversation they're having is whether or not he is exceeding his authority as the president by doing what he's doing and deporting, now we know, many American citizens. But once again, like I've said, the rule of law, they don't care about that. Equality and human rights, they don't care about that. The words in the Constitution that says every person in this country has a right to due process, they don't care about that. What they care about is supremacy. What they care about is maintaining a hierarchy. What they care about is the president wielding unchecked power in the name of defending white America. Because that's all they wanted. That's all they really wanted, probably since Barack Obama was elected. A champion to stand up and fight for white America. That lady was ready to flip that table off of the idea that the president could not act the way that he's been acting. And for what? Because the facts are true. Everyone is entitled to due process. And he does not have the right to be conducting business the way he's been conducting business when it comes to these deportations. That's not the world she wants to live in. That's not the world MAGA wants to live in anymore. They want to live in a world where the law is the law, the Constitution is the Constitution, but it is only applied to people who don't look like them. Once these laws do start applying to them, that ain't gonna work. We're gonna burn it all down.